story series, Shreya. And, thank you so much for giving me time on a Sunday. And before we get started, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself. I want to know more about your ISB admit, and I would like to discuss that throughout our discussion today. So maybe first you could just get started with your story.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Srika, ma'am, for having me for the success story. And thank you for all the support that you and the Crackverbal team have provided me. So I basically come from an IT background and I graduated 2 years ago. So actually, I just have just 2 years of experience and I work with Deloitte in the cybersecurity department. So I've always wanted to, look at the business side of things in general, but over the last 1 year, I have my decision to pursue an MBA has consolidated into a firm decision. It was then I reached out basically to Crackverbal to help me, through the process of how to go about to apply to colleges, because I was like a little lost in where to start, how to go about this, how do I portray my story. So it was then I got in touch with the Crackverbal team. I had my first conversation with you, where you assisted me. Okay, this is how we can put your story together. You helped me, assimilate my thoughts, gave me questions to ponder over, and then got me in touch with a mentor and who guided me, really helped bring out my story. So that is where all this started from, basically.
Right. So, just 2 years experience, it's slightly on the lower side, compared to the pool that applies to ISB especially, right? So,
Yeah,
what
right.
was on your mind and why did you feel that you were prepared, to apply at this point?
So initially, I was a little hesitant and I wasn't sure. And I knew I was on the just 2 years of experience, and how am I going to compete with a bigger pool of more expert professionals out there and everyone who's going to apply. So when I spoke to you, I realized, okay, this is where what I've learned. This is how I can portray my skills. I didn't realize that, okay, these are skills that I can actually show that I'm ready and I can use to, vouch for me being ready and want to pursue an MBA. So it's two mentors and everyone that I spoke to from the team that realized, you have a good profile. We can push it forward for, we can play around with it. We can bring out the best in the essays. This is the points where I'm lacking in. These are where I need to improve. So when the constant interaction with the team and, figuring out how to get their resume ready even from this minor things, from the resume being ready to how to get preparing for the interview with you, really helped me understand my drawbacks and how these are my actual skills. So that one interview, the last one that I had, the mock interview that I had with you, that was where I really understood that, okay, this is how I need to go forward with the interview. This is what I need to highlight. So that is basic through the whole process. Now I feel like, okay, I'm actually ready to do an MBA now.
Awesome. So, with the GMAT process, there's always, especially for working professionals, they always have this struggle, right? How to manage the GMAT aspect. In fact, you took some help from the GMAT perspective also with us. So, tell us a
Yes.
little bit about your GMAT journey too. How did you plan it? What were the key things that you feel you did right, or you could have done better? If you could just throw some light on that aspect
Well,
also.
one thing that I did right was actually reaching out to you to improve my GMAT score. Like I had a pretty decent score, but I wasn't sure how to push it to the level that, okay, it will give me that edge in applying to these colleges that are competitive colleges that I wanted to apply. So I to the admissions team, Swati, she told me that she'll get me in touch with the people who will help me understand where my gaps are. So my GMAT verbal mentor, I took assistance from Crackverbal for verbal only. So he really understood where my gaps were. Like there was a kind of a huge gap in the way I was reading and perceiving the questions. So he brushed up, and over the courses, I realized that I knew the content. I just needed to analyze whatever I was reading in a better way. So that way, my mentor with the Crackverbal or the verbal coach helped me understand that and build on that. And I could break into the 700 barrier after that. So
perfect. So, what was your change in score after you took help with the personal tutoring option?
it was about 30 points increment that I saw.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
So, what was your final score?
710.
710. Okay. So what was your thought process? So when you see a 710 with lot of hard work, so how much time did you actually put in for your GMAT prep?
After I took up assistance from Crackable, another 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months. Okay. So what was your feeling when you got a 710? Did you feel you were ready for
Really,
it?
really. Uh, I mean, I did feel after that, I'm like, okay, I'm actually ready. I could have done pushed a little more, but after months of that struggle to not understanding where I was going wrong. So what I've understood is understanding where the gap in the preparation is or what you're lacking in is the key once you have the foundations solid. So someone like me, I had the basics. I comprehended. I had a good comprehension over the basics, and I just needed to understand where I was going wrong or what I was missing. And that is where it really helps taking some support, someone to help understand what your gap is when you're not able to figure out. So
Right.
that's where the Crackverbal team really pushed me. And I was relieved when I saw that, saying, okay, I know how to go about this. If I have to go through the whole process again, I'm ready because I can understand and self figure out where I'm going wrong. So
Right.
where the huge part was played from the team and my verbal tutor.
Right. So, Shreya, especially this happens for people who are retakers, right?
Right.
You when do you realize that okay, now you're ready to take the second attempt? Because there's always this fear that okay, my last attempt was not as what I expected, but I really need to see that improvement. Did you see those changes in your mock test scores? Or what was the thing that you felt that okay, now you're ready, or did you have a deadline in mind and that's how you plan the whole thing?
So actually, when I got my first score, I wasn't very pleased with it. I knew it wasn't good enough to make it to the colleges that I wanted to. And
Mm.
one thing is, I wasn't able to understand at all. So I had a call with Swati, and she told me she'll get me in touch, and that's where we'll figure out. But I also knew that when I was going through the answers after like after attempting questions incorrectly, I knew I kind of knew my basics. It was just that I just still could not figure out why I was going wrong or how I
Mm.
was going wrong. So that's where I needed, okay, my analysis is not right. And I needed someone else, a third eye to, jump in, look at where I was going wrong. So that is where I reached out to you
Right.
and decided to take help. And in terms of me being ready for giving the exam, I could see it with one thing, it was a motivation that my verbal tutor kept giving me. He kept on saying that I know you know your foundations. When I listening to you talk and your responses, I can understand that your basics are there. It's just this is your major fault. And he
Mm.
constantly helped me improve on my analysis. It was that self-analysis that I could do, that okay, I could understand. And also he gave me a lot of support that you can do it, just give it a shot. And then I could see some improvement in the mock, and I just decided to go with it.
Right. So, more from your profile perspective, I also wanted to understand um, what were the other things in your profile? So, apart from your Deloitte experience, were there other aspects that you highlighted in your, ISB application, or what were the things that you focused mainly on?
Yeah, so I had a chance to start an entrepreneurial experience during the COVID time. So it was that which really we highlighted and brought out as my unique factor.
Mm.
Along, my learnings through that entrepreneurial stint, and then we highlighted how I could leverage all my learnings from Deloitte and how I use that. That was basically how we portrayed my profile, and this is the highlighted the leadership skills. Along with that, we also
Right.
that I was into many other extracurricular activities, into sports, and I have contributed towards some society and volunteering. That
Right.
is basically how we portrayed my profile for ISP.
Right. And this was something that you have been doing for quite some time, also, right?
Right. Right. I
Right.
have been part of playing sports and extracurriculars and volunteering at a school and for some 2 3 years now.
Right. Right. So, tell me more from your experience in focusing on your essays, right? It's always a struggle to get that first draft out.
Yeah.
How easy or difficult was it for you?
Um, so initially it was quite difficult to understand where do I start and how to do it. So that is where my first conversation was with you, which where you told me that, okay, if I just put it out this way, it's not going to work. I need to stress on these. And then it was my mentor who helped me figure out how to break down the structure and how to approach it. And after we broke down, I wrote down stories as it is, just like I'm speaking to you. I just made everything into stories saying, okay, this is how my life has been, this is what I've done. And then we got into detailed conversations of how we can portray this and what is the highlight of my story, what will be the highlight of my leadership skills and where actually my leadership skills lie. I hadn't figured them out even after I wrote it. It was my mentor who said, okay, Shad, these are your leadership skills. And even you told me that leadership skills are not just restricted to these are what you have. So it was there I could understand these are all my leadership skills. This is what my profile is. This is my story, and this is what I'm going to go with. So once that was in place and understanding how, how we'll play out the essays, my first draft was pretty easy to get done with.
Right. So, did you apply only to Indian schools, or what was your
No.
plan in terms of how many schools you would want to apply to?
So I have applied to more schools other than ISB. Currently, also I'm in the process of applying to some international schools, like some colleges in US and in Singapore. So I'm working on the essays for those colleges at the moment. But plan was, okay, I do have some entrepreneurial experience, and my long-term goal is to have a business of my own. And I see eventually long-term coming back to India and settling down and having. So I realized what kind of a college in that terms ISB and the learnings ISB provides in the platform, the alumni network it gives. So it was with that I decided, okay, ISB is a great place considering I have a long-term plan of staying in the country, to approach there, to have build the alumni network there. And that is why I decided to apply to ISB outside of my other international applications.
So ISB was your first choice, always?
And at the moment, I'm not sure because I'm still waiting on some reply. So based on that, I will have to take a call. But I'm extremely pleased to have ISB in my corner right now.
Right. Absolutely. So how was your interview process? How did you prepare, and what were the things that you focused on during your interview process, and how did that go?
My interview was actually, well, it was a conversation that basically played out. So I didn't realize until I got the admit that my interview went well, because in the scare, you'll like, how did it go? Did I answer right? Did I get them to like me? Those questions keep running in your head for months together. Yeah. But like, I had a mock interview with you, and we had a proper session where you had all the questions, and then you advised me on what to highlight in my profile, how to go about me talking and all that. So once that was in place, I actually had the confidence to, okay, this is just a conversation and I just need to talk whatever I've written, whatever actually my story is, I just need to talk to them. So once that was in place, it was actually quite relaxing. I had the, apprehension and the worry 2-3 days before, like, how am I going to tackle their questions? And then I got to know after, okay, I just need to have a conversation with them, actually find out what they're interested in, drive the conversation in, what my interests are, help them realize what I'm interested in, what the person I am. And once that I knew, it was a seamless process. I actually had fun and enjoyed talking to them.
So was it a panel of 3, or how?
Yeah, it was 2 alumni, and basically I had an interaction with the 2 alumni, and there was a admission committee member just supervising the call. There was no interaction with them.
Right. And how many days after the interview did you get to know that you got an interview? About
close to a month and a half.
Right. So what are your next steps now? Now that at least, I guess you are applying to other schools right now and planning, right, and then figure out maybe in a month or 2 that what you want to do next. Right.
So I'm in the process of applying. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm so glad, you got to what you wanted to. So congratulations once again. And thank you so much for giving me time for this talk. And all the best for your next steps. Let me know what you plan and what you
I
want
will
to
do that.
going
Thank you
ahead.
so much.
Would definitely
Thank you
love
so much
to
for
know.
all the assistance. That mock interview really helped me a lot.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that we were part of your journey. So thank you so much, and all the best, and keep me posted.
I will do that. Thank you so
What is
much.
up.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shreya. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.